All right. Hey, guess what? Good evening. Welcome to Straight Up. We'll be back this evening. We have tons of things we want to talk to you about. So spread the word. We'll be right back with Straight Up and my guest or co host, Thomas Anderson.
She put a pot on she hair and gone. Them a the first one out on the dam. Basket on she head, bucket in each hand. Hold up on she frock, I wanna she grandson. To the market, them a go. For the morning, the day is dawning. For cockacrow to give the villagers a warning. Rise and shine, the birds them a sing. All animal take turn as them join in the waking. Cockacrow, dagaba, donkey, bray, horse, and they even duck a quack. Cockacrow, dagaba, donkey, bray, horse, and they even duck a quack. Come and hear this sweet story that tell the people about life in the country. All day a back down, me now a come home. The naga jackass yard for fetch the load. Cockle shy hand, bag over shoulder, running by his side, a Rexy and Rover. From the farm, them a come. Sun a go down but up the river. Some washing clothes, some folks are bathing at the water. Fisherman, they catch them a bring. From a canoe boat, man, them start offloading. Aymara, Kwakwari, Hail Baka Kuma Kuma, even Lokunani. Aymara, Kwakwari, Hail Baka Kuma Kuma, even Bangameri. Listen to this sweet story that tell the people about life in the country. Them children glad when the weekend come. Out in the yard, them all gather round. Some a play catcher, some making house.
Hello, this is attorney Shellen Washington, owner and founder of the Washington Law Firm, located at 455 Utica Avenue in Brooklyn, New York. We're specialized in medical malpractice, personal injuries, matrimonial law, and landlord and tenant. If you're in need of legal representation, please give us a call today. The number to call is 718-877-3100. Consultation is free at no cost to you. So call us today to see if we can be of any assistance to your legal needs. Again, the phone number to call us is 718-877-3100.
If you are looking to have your statutory declaration, affidavit of income, identity, damage or lost passport, lost license, tenancy agreement, agreement of settlement, power of attorney, last will and testament, and certification of documents, then you need to visit the Alistair Collins firm, located at the Kellyan Mall, 162 Lamaha Street in Georgetown, between Camp and Waterloo Street. Alistair Collins is a commissioner of oaths and a justice of the peace. Make certain you visit him or call for more information at 649-6410 or 685-6448 or 503-1451. And there's adequate parking available. Go down to the Alistair Collins firm and have all of your legal issues settled and brought to the fore. Alistair Collins firm. Contact them at Alistair Collins firm,
Hey there, guess what? It's 6 minutes after 9 o'clock in beautiful Georgetown, Guyana. It is 6 minutes after 9 o'clock Eastern Standard Time, different time zone. The folks out in the UK, good evening to you. We ask that you share the link. We say just once and that's it because we got business to take care of. Now, the operator, thank you, Lemon. And this is what he put. That's me standing there in front of a little shop. And any one of you who can say where this shop is located and whose little shop that is will get a prize for Christmas. You guys will get a prize for Christmas. If you can tell me where exactly it is that I'm standing, where? I need for you to say that, and you'll get yourself something for Christmas. Garfield Collins, good evening. Thanks for advertising for the link to be shared. Inbox it to your friends. Let them come on. We have Thomas Anderson with us this evening. We have lots and lots of things we want to talk about, serious matters we want to discuss this evening. If you can tell me where it is that I'm standing, trust me, I will share whatever I have with you. Even if we have to sit and eat pepper pot, beef, cow heel, cow heel soup, or something for Christmas together. Tell me where I'm standing. And right now, I promise you, trust me, I promise you that you'll get something from me. Not all the time that I'll be on the receiving end, mind you, right? Well, sometimes, mind you. But tonight, I'm in that giving out kind of mood, giving away kind of spirit, right? I'm looking at your comments. Nobody thus far is able to say where I am standing. None of you, absolutely none of you. Now, that is a little shop. A little shop. Miss Simons is saying, Desiree Simon is saying, it is saying somewhere in Kitty. Clyde Pistano is saying Alness Village on the quarantine. Good evening to you, Clyde Pistano. Good evening to you. As I say, good evening to all of you. And I give you another 30 seconds to share the link. Now, Clyde, this is Alness Village, right? You can tell Alness when you see Alness. Clyde Pistano, that is Alness Village. Ask J.R. Crawford and the other guys. But let's get back to this one here, right? And before we get to Tom, we will get to Tom. Tom is ready for you guys. Nobody's saying any, somebody's saying Jagdale's shop. You're on to something. Now let's get down straight to business here. That little shop right there, that little shop, no kidding, that is where Jagdale lived. In that little shop right there, it's painted over, it's looking better now. But that is where Jagdale lived before he became a junior Minister of Finance. And at that time, when he was Junior Minister of Finance, Asghar Ali was the Senior Minister of Finance. No, Teresa Sanford, that's not where he grew up. He grew up in a village called Unity on the east coast of Demerara, right? Unity Village. But this is where Jagdale once lived. And when he became the Minister of Finance, he moved out of that little shop. Oh, yeah. That little shop, he moved out and he went into a property belonging to the state. Now, I just thought I'd let you guys know where he came from, but today, here is where Jagdale lives. A mansion. His garage is bigger than the shop front that he once rented. That shop front right there. So it's not like he inherited anything from Mamu, Mami, Chachi, or Chacha, or Pua Absolutely nothing. Taxpayers' money. Taxpayers' monies. I know some of his supporters are going to start getting vexed, but it's okay. So let me put on some more makeup and prepare to welcome our guest this evening. No stranger to you guys, right? He wants to talk. He will be talking because I have lots of questions for him. But we heard earlier that Barra Jagdeo announced. Barra Jagdeo, he's doing all of the announcing, right? We're not hearing from Mark Phillips. Mark Phillips is only cutting ribbon. Mark Phillips is supposed to be the second most powerful man in the so-called government. But you know what's going on. Mark Phillips is just a puppet. But after the announcement of some so-called fuel 50% reduction or whatever, it's just propaganda. Don't fall for that. Even these guys are not falling for it. When they heard of the announcement, they just had to sing something. Let's prepare for our guest this evening, Thomas Anderson. But before, this is how the guys, in a semi-celebratory mood, out there somewhere on the quarantine. This is what happened after Jagdeo's propaganda announcement about fuel.
Sometimes you have to deal with politics because people don't get it enough. You see me? Let me tell you something. It was the 9th of 11, 2001. Big catastrophic happened in a Babylon. New York looked like Hiroshima when it bombed. When we shout out thunder, lightning, leap and Satan. So with them get the money for buy them hardware. With them get the money for buy them nuclear. Bright and early on Tuesday morning, about 8:46 when everybody's sleeping. 2 planes crashing at the twin building. Everybody dead and nobody living. I like to hear the people in the world talking. Come me say bombs it a drop. Every day me get a full time if it's not. You can't find Bush and the one Arafat. Through them made the bomb with Saddam just drop. Them have to come back. Let me tell you something about welfare. How the rich man have the money and them don't want share. Back in the ghetto, people suffer everywhere. Them raise everything to ear and dear. Them raise all mango, breadfruit to all beer. Now the trust Father God to leave me out of despair. The oppressors try to oppress the righteous this year. And not know that a grand from last year. Bust me come with bust in the atmosphere. We strong like a lion and a raging deer. The lyrics we attack sound like you hear. Me come with pound them in them sleep and give them night.
I knew that song would have hurt some of their feelings. I noticed, Tom, they've already started. Look, Savi Hardayal is saying Ben Cup. Why don't you shut your big ugly mouth? Hey, don't you love Guyanese, Tom? Look at the kind of cussing out I'm getting already. All because of that.
They're mad. But, you know, they should be mad. They should be mad. And that's what we're here to talk about, Mark, is why they're mad. But they shouldn't be mad at you, man. Why are they mad at you? You're the good guy.
I don't know why they're mad at me, man. Look at this, though. Big ugly mouth. Good evening to you. Good evening to you.
Hi, everybody. How are you?
Good evening. Yeah, Tom, what's going on? How have you been, mate?
I've been great. Hope everyone else has been great since the last time we talked.
Oh, yeah, they've been great. They've been watching developments in Guyana. They've been watching a lot of things, not only in Guyana, but outside of Guyana. Even as we speak, the guy who's been installed as president of Guyana is in Dubai. Have you noticed that he is out there? Your take, sir. Let's begin right away.
Well, a lot of people out there in Dubai are out there right now to do things like cut deals with the Russians and with the Chinese to help the Russians keep their war going in Ukraine, right? And so there are natural resources. There are things here that Russia has interest in Guyana. And in order for them to get access to those resources, in order for them to get access to any resources, they have to right now do it through China, right? Because they can't directly access anything with their banks or with anything else. So he's out there in Dubai probably because he needs to speak to some people to cut some deals to make sure that Russia can keep their war going. And they're reaching out to everybody where they have assets to secure those assets and then make sure they can keep flowing through Chinese routes, most likely is what's going on.
You know, some of our listeners are maybe they'd want for you to, they'll probably say, huh? Is that really what Air Finale is doing in Dubai? We know of the questionable Sputnik vaccines that were sent, millions of dollars spent on it, taxpayers' monies sent to Guyana from Russia. Now, Jack, Air Finale is in Dubai. We don't know what happened with this deal that he struck. Millions upon millions of Guyana dollars for the Sputnik Russian-made vaccine. You're saying that he is there now to strike some other deals?
Yeah, because what Guyana had in place before for Russia to be able to extract things like bauxite or other resources where Russia has rights to in Guyana, or for example, let's say Guyana, like I said before, is a place where a lot of smuggled gold comes through, right? So it's a place where if you're Russia and you have to get some way around the sanctions that Western countries have put on you, then Guyana is a pivotal country. Why? Because there are natural resources and there's gold. And with both, you can, with the help of China, you can use that to convert into what you need in order to keep your economy going, in order to keep your war going.
Wow, interesting. Interesting indeed. Tom, I want you to touch on this land deal out in Guyana. And I say land deal because the guy who's the head of Rusal, who is blocked from doing business, he's one of the oligarchs. What is your take on him that guy investing in 4.7 acres of land out there in Guyana to build some private home, whatever it is? What is your take on that and the deal struck by Jagdev and his PPP regime?
Okay, well, think about it for a second. Okay, so you have right now oligarchs getting their yachts repossessed when they go to places like Gibraltar, right? So if they're looking for places to hide wealth, and they've been looking for a long time now, they've known this may happen now for some time. So they've been looking for a while to hide places, to find places to hide money, assets, hide out maybe. And it looks like Guyana may be a place for someone. It may be a place for quite a few people. That's, this is the role Guyana plays, unfortunately, right, on the world stage. It's a place where bad guys can hide assets, where they can hide themselves, where they can still live a pretty good life on the run until their lawyers and whatever, their bought off government officials can do what they need to do to get them in the clear again, right? But that's what this sounds like.
But I know countries like the US and Canada and the UK and so forth, they keep an eye, especially the US, they keep an eye on these sort of things. How do you think that the US would treat Guyana, basically cozying up to these oligarchs and hiding their assets and so forth? How do you think they will be treated? Guyana should be treated by the US in being complicit.
Well, the way they're being treated now is they're not a place where a lot of resources are going to. They're sort of under the radar. And so since there aren't a lot of resources going there, we aren't spending a lot of resources there, most likely. But with that said, things change, right? The world is changing quickly. So Guyana could all of a sudden become a hot spot for people desperately trying to find a way to hide assets, desperately trying to find a way to smuggle things places. And if that happens all of a sudden, then the way the U.S. government is going to act is going to be pretty swift and it's pretty fast. Like I said, you're going to hear that they've got a task force going, right? Like I said, they just got the ambassador in to Jamaica. That was key. That was very important because, like I was telling you, you've got something called the British Virgin Islands around here, and these guys are using the British Virgin Islands as a jump-off point to hide assets all over the Caribbean and South America, right? And vice versa. So things are moving quickly. And right now, Guyana's sort of low on the radar, but it could change within a day, right? And if that happens, you're going to see things really, really, really skyrocket. You're going to see violence, big things will get bad quick in Guyana.
All right, things will get bad quick in Guyana. Let us keep our fingers crossed that it doesn't happen. But Thomas Anderson knows what he's talking about. Last week, when you were on, you spoke about the ambassadors or what came out of the U.S. Embassy about security in Georgetown, security and crime, especially at the market areas, border and Starbrook Market, according to the release that came out of the U.S. Embassy in Georgetown. You also said that there will be fundings and so forth. Less than a week after your prediction, we are hearing now that the U.S. Deputy Assistant Secretary for Caribbean Affairs and Haiti traveled to Guyana. She is expected to be in Guyana very soon. Barbara A. Feinstein. She will be in Guyana. Break down this visit for our listeners. Explain how
Okay.
important this is, Tom.
So, well, it's important to people in the know. Okay, so she works for USAID. If you want to know what her job is, the best way to know anyone who works at the level that she's at, deputy assistant secretary, these people will always have to testify before Congress about the jobs that the agencies that they oversee are doing. And so, if you look at her last testimony that I saw, the last major one was last summer, and she was talking about all of the money that the U.S. government has put into various countries around the Caribbean, into CARICOM, the different programs that USAID is funding in the region. Uh, and so Guyana is a part of that. And her visit, part of what she has to do is she has to speak to people on the ground. Her staff have to speak to people on the ground and work with our embassy to find the areas in Guyana where U.S. dollars will be most effective for the people of Guyana and for their security. That's the mission and goal. Uh, Now, people can say that it's other things. Look, at the end of the day, there are private interests. There are other people who may be corrupt who can try to change that goal. But the bottom line is this: she's coming to speak to people on the ground to try to plug U.S. dollars into places of need in Guyana for the people of Guyana, regardless of party, wealth, status, etc.
You know, folks, because she is going to be meeting with members, not just those from the installed regime. She is scheduled to meet with Barra Jagdeo, who they described as the vice president of Guyana, and not the prime minister, who is the second and who is acting president right now. Are you surprised that she is actually having a one-on-one with Barra Jagdeo, not the prime minister?
No, I'm not surprised. She has to meet with the people who can get things done for her mission and for the mission of the United States of America. And unfortunately, in Guyana right now, Barack Jagdeo has positioned himself as the only person, or one of the few people that anyone can have confidence in saying that, hey, if we do A, will you do B, right? Can we partner with Guyana? He has risen, and I'm sure he feels good about this, that he has risen to the point where he is one of the only people any government can talk to. The problem with that is uh, he's not the best at this. He's not. He's not the best person to speak to for this type of stuff. He just isn't. Okay, he's not. And the people who are the best have either been chased out of the country, right, by corruption or violence, okay, or they've been starved of education, resources, they've been blocked, things like that. So that's why she's going to be meeting with the opposition. She's going to be meeting with local businesses. She's going to be meeting with human rights activists. She's going to her and her staff are meeting with a lot of people, not just Jagdeo. And but unfortunately, like getting back to what you said, unfortunately, he has put himself in a position through various ways to be sort of the only guy people can kind of deal with on these things. And so she has to meet with him, unfortunately.
Unfortunately, indeed. Let's get back. What are some of the things you may want to predict here this evening that the opposition, the main opposition, can get out of this visit by Miss Barbara Feinstein? What can they get out of this visit? Not just the opposition, but legitimate members of civil society and human rights groups and so forth.
Well, the main thing that I saw with her testimony last time she was up on Capitol Hill was there was a big focus placed on climate change and the damage being done in as far as like in terms of flooding. So I know there's been some major flooding issues in Guyana. The opposition, the PPP may not care about certain regions in Guyana because they aren't whatever that's the right kind of people for them. Fine, but the opposition can actually speak up and talk to her staff and say, hey, we have areas that are being flooded in ways we haven't seen in many, many generations. It's because of climate change. We need help so that these people, the people, our citizens who live in these areas, their lives aren't washed away every year from some crazy freak rainstorm, right? And we have money for that. She's in charge of overseeing and ensuring that millions and millions of dollars for that gets to the right place. So things like that is what the opposition needs to be prepared for. They need to have video, photographs. I've seen it. They need to show her and her staff just how bad it is with climate change. And they need to show that, hey, there will be death. There will be bad things happening. They need the help out there desperately. So that's one of the things. The other thing that they should definitely be asking for is, USAID through this program CBSI, which CARICOM sort of oversees, they put millions and millions and millions of dollars into providing security for the civilian population. So the problem in Stabroek Market, there's money from USAID to take care of that. Okay. What has to happen is the opposition, because I don't know if the PPP of Jack Dale's even cares about what's going on with the crime. Who knows? But I will say this: the opposition should care, and they should really bring this up with her and her staff to discuss funds. I have a feeling the reason why there may not be as much in funds right now as there should be is because maybe law enforcement in Guyana isn't trained properly. I saw that our embassy is trying to get them trained on not committing human rights abuses. Because if you commit a human rights abuse as a police officer and our embassy hears about it and it's credible, we can no longer give your country funding for security because we're not going to fund police officers that are terrorizing their own population, right? So there needs to be training, but at the end of the day, opposition has to bring up the security situation in Stabroek Market, and they have to bring up that, hey, we need the money. And right now, Guyana isn't getting much of that money, and they need to get.
Let me ask you something, Tom. We'll
Yeah.
get back to the money and Guyana isn't getting and so forth from way back when. But here's a concern, a legitimate question here
Yeah.
from Betsy Breeze or Freeze. All right, who's getting the money? If Miss Feinstein goes, when she goes, she talks with the opposition or maybe human rights groups, legitimate human rights groups, and legitimate persons from civil society. Who gets the money?
Okay, so that's why the opposition has to talk to her about this, right? Because they have to speak to her and her staff about ways of ensuring. Look, the opposition knows where the money should go so that it can be used for what it needs to be used for. They know. They can tell her. I don't know, right? I'm not in Guyana. I'm not there. But I promise you, the opposition, they know where the money should go. That's why they need to speak to her and they need to let her know and her staff know this is where the money should go. If it goes anywhere else, it's going to disappear, right? So these are the types of things they need to be talking about with her. Seriously.
Lots of things indeed. Thomas Anderson with us. We're talking about the U.S. Deputy Assistant Secretary for Caribbean Affairs and Haiti will travel to Guyana. She will be in Guyana from tomorrow, March 24th until the 26th. She will be meeting with everyone almost. The opposition. She will be meeting with members of civil society. She will be meeting with human rights and activists and so forth. She will be meeting with the PPP. But again, Tom, a lot of people are disappointed that the man that she will be, the individual, that she will be meeting with is Barrett Jagdale, who is known who is known for a lot of things, and some things are not complimentary. Um, and people are already asking, do they trust this guy to put money in his hands for security or whatever? Oh gosh, Tom.
You're right, and it's hard for anyone to understand how anything. It's hard for anyone who knows what's going on in Guyana to imagine our government giving someone like Jack Dale tons and tons of money and it actually go for the people and what they need. It's hard for anybody to believe that who's looking at the situation. That's just the reality, right? And that's the reality of our people going over there, right? Like we know there's a reason why Guyana, with so many natural resources, is in the situation they're in. And we know why. Everyone knows why. Okay. Everyone knows why. So with that said, the reason why I'm on and the reason why I'm speaking is because I'm trying to give the people of Guyana, the regular people, the normal people, some insight on how to be effective in helping change your country for the better. And the way to do that is to have discussions about this, to have discussions about Jack Dale meeting with U.S. representatives and what's happening to the money, right? We need to discuss, where is the money going? Where did it go in the past? Who took it before? These things need to be discussed. That's why I'm on discussing it. But with that said, once you know that you've got a corruption problem, and once you have people from the outside of your country telling you, here are some ways that you can better deal with it, especially when you're dealing with our representatives, right? What you have to be able to do at some point is, in a small way, try to apply some of this stuff. In a small way, try to petition your government for transparency. In a small way, try to petition your government to let you know, hey, what deals have you cut with China or anyone else? These are things that you should be asking your representatives, your MPs. I know it sounds like, well, it's never worked before. Well, it's never worked before because I don't think anyone has ever consistently done it. This isn't something that people are living, eating, sleeping, breathing, but that's what it has to become in order for things to change.
Well said, Thomas Anderson. Tom, here's a question. This is a relevant question, and this person, I'm sure, is asking it on behalf of the folks who are watching and listening to this show. Who is going to be responsible for monitoring how the money is being spent?
Me,
USAID? Who,
me,
Tom?
me. I'm one of the people. I'm one of the people. I'm definitely one of the people who monitors this. The way I monitor it is I don't work for the government, right? But I know how to petition our government to get the information that I need in order to monitor what's happening. And so I'm on this and I'll be monitoring. And that means that the media here in the United States will be monitoring through me. Different agencies will be monitoring because of that through me. That's all good. Uh, but I'll add to that, like I was saying before, if things get really out of control, there will be a task force that will be brought down into Trinidad, into the port of Spain. Those people will be watching, and not just watching, they will be moving and they will be getting things done. The U.S. government has a very good inspector general's office that goes in and they look at the work that the USAID does. And then inspector general, they can go into everything. They can dig up everything. They're very, very good. So they'll be watching. We have different agencies within the USAID that monitor different programs, different boards that they are watching. We have private contractors that we hire to go through these things and investigate who are watching. It's multi-layered. There are many, 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 many people watching where the money's going, which is why I say to everyone knows what's going on in Guyana. Everyone knows what happens to the money when it doesn't go to the right place. People understand this. They know. With that said, what can't be done is everyone throw their hands up and say, to hell with it all. Let's not deal with Guyana anymore. No, we still have to deal with Guyana. We still do. But we have to try to find a way to work together. And what we're missing is help from the citizenry. We really are, right? And it's not just in Guyana. The citizenry is lacking here in the United States, right? We for some reason, we're thinking that voting is enough. It's not enough anymore. in the year 2022 for anybody. Okay. You have to get smarter. You have to dig. You have to talk. You have to make this a part of your life. You have to work at it constantly, and you have to join me, and you have to watch as well. And that's why I'm on, so I can help teach people who are on here. I just listen to what I'm saying. I promise you, if you start digging a little, you start talking, you will be able to start finding things yourself, right? We all need to be watching, and we can. So that's where it's at. I don't know if that's a good answer. I don't know if it sounds like I'm answering it, but I am, because I'm telling
No,
you a lot of people are watching.
that's a good answer. That a lot of people, including you, Tom, you'll be watching, and once you watch, the media will be notified, the U.S. media and so forth. But somebody here is saying, with all of the people who are watching, it sounds like most of the money goes to the watchmen. Is that Tom?
Hey, I wish I was getting some of that money. Let me tell you, I'm not, man. We don't get any of it. I'm sorry, we don't.
Good, but yeah,
We
I got what the person is saying, but that's not how it works. And Thomas said that the watchmen don't really get any out of it.
we
But
don't. But you know
here's
we
what
do get. No, we do get.
yeah,
We get. So this is a peek into my private life, okay?
sure.
Because I have to be unbiased, because I have to see it straight in order to do my job properly. No one likes me politically. So I have family members, friends who are Trump supporters who can't stand me. I have family members and friends, they can't stand me politically, right? They hate me. They don't want to talk politics with me. I have family and friends who are Biden supporters. They can't stand me politically. And the reason why is because I'm unbiased. I don't listen to any politician. I look at actions, right? And I try to follow the money trail. I try to follow facts. I almost ignore what these guys say. Um, and with that said, I think more and more of us have to be that way, right? We shouldn't be identified by a political party, by who we are fans of politically with politicians, because the reality is politics is nothing but a theater. It's a theatric rendition of reality. Okay, what's happening in politics, it's just not real. It just isn't. So we should get away from being fans of politicians. We should get more into the mindset of being unbiased and just looking at what they're doing and judging the effect of what they're doing with our own eyes. That's where we should get, all of us, Guyana, America. That's where we need to get. And hopefully the people listening can get there in Guyana to change Guyana for the better. Because if you do that as a population, I promise you, you will see results very quickly.
Of course, of course. Let's get to this. And this is an interesting question. Doesn't the USA obtain an audit trail of the money spent, especially coming through USAID, a money trail?
They do.
You mentioned earlier that the Ms. Feinstein had to give a report in Congress about the spending of monies in other countries. Explain it to that listener for the
Yeah,
benefit of all.
there are so many levels here of like just redundancy of who's auditing the money. Um, I'll give an example of what I'm saying. So back when Haiti had its earthquake back in 2011, 2012, I started digging into some of the money that was coming in that was supposed to provide for housing for earthquake victims in Haiti. And this gentleman named Claudio Osorio down in Miami, he had held huge parties for the Clintons, fundraising parties. He was friends with them. They publicly said they were friends. He ended up getting $10 million from a U.S. government agency in order to provide housing for Haitians who had lost their homes in the earthquake. In this housing, what he was going to do was create these new modular, like futuristic homes that could last 500 years. It was weird, okay? It was some weird thing. But anyway, they gave him $10 million and all the money disappeared. It disappeared.
Wow.
And I worked with CNN for several months, had to go down to Miami federal court. We had to dig through, I went through 3 baker's racks of court cases to find enough evidence to put the pieces together. And what we found was that this man, that Bill Clinton had personally asked one of the biggest law firms in the state of Florida to help this man get the $10 million from an agency that Hillary Clinton was the boss of. And then the money disappeared, right? This man went to prison for securities fraud, I believe. Don't quote me on that, but he did go to jail in relation to some business fraud that was going on with him. And so at the end of the day, these things happen and we catch them, right? But it does take some time. But with that said, we catch them. I caught that one in Haiti. I've caught quite a few other ones. And it doesn't matter. I don't care who they're connected to politically, Democrat or Republican, it doesn't matter. That's where more people in Guyana have to be. Guyana, the citizens have to get in a position where they're doing like me, where they're able to dig and get documents and to follow the trail of things, right? Like these things have to start happening. I guess this is I guess I'm saying you guys need better journalism, but we got to do these things, right? And hopefully I can maybe help get some people inspired to get this on the road.
And inspired indeed. Thank you so much, Tom. But I want us to get into this, and you can explain it a little bit, the Taft. But before we get to the Taft, Tom, you explaining that and the monies sent to Guyana and other parts of the Caribbean and so forth. Can you outline maybe just a couple of things that the opposition, the leader of the PNCR and members of parliament of the opposition, those who will be attending, and I do hope a lot of them do attend this meeting with Ms. Feinstein. What exactly should they take? What are three of the main things they should discuss at this meeting as it pertains to funding?
Well, definitely number one on the list is climate change and its effect on residents in Guyana, because there are so many people in Guyana who live next to these rivers, right? And with climate change, I mean, come on, we know what's happening. So with that said, I would say that's number one on the list. And the opposition has to show photographs, videos of areas in Guyana that you know that the PPP are going to pretend do not exist. Okay? Like, that's what's going to happen. So the opposition has to be in a position to be a voice for the other part of Guyana that the PPP is not going to represent with USAID. It's imperative that this happens. So I would say that's number one. Number two, I would say that they would definitely want to talk to them about CBSI. That's a program that has done really, really good work in Jamaica in lowering the crime rate in Jamaica, the violent crime rate. It's a great program. Guyana's barely getting any money from it, from what I can tell so far, from the latest numbers I've looked at. It just, as of 2018, they got $410,000. Like in Jamaica got almost $11.3 million, right? So anyway, the places where the money goes to through CBSI, you see the crime rate go down a lot. So I think the opposition needs to talk about that and why Guyana's money for that has really gone down. There's a little note in there that says that the Eastern Caribbean is part of money they spend in Guyana as well. But the bottom line is there isn't much money going to Guyana for security, and CBSI is a program that's really good for that. I would say the opposition is going to want to talk about this and want to try to get as much technical support, as much help as they can, because I would say going forward that crime is probably going to get worse in Guyana. And so why not get as much help as you can for the citizens when the U.S. government is here with someone from USAID who has access to these dollars? Get them. You need them. Okay, this is how you can secure your capital city. This is how you can secure your marketplaces. This is imperative. So I would definitely spend a lot of time focused on that, right? So those are the top two things that I would look at. And then the third thing I would say that is just imperative across the board is, like I said last week, it really hurt my heart to see this company that does forestry work. And the first thing you see on their webpage is they have all these foreign doctors treating these little babies in Guyana in the forest for health problems, and old men and old women. And it's just like, why do they have to get doctors from overseas for this? Why isn't this something that Guyana can provide their own people? What's going on? And I think that needs to be brought up with our staff over there. They're coming over there and brought up through this avenue, I believe, through COVID-19, right? Like, I don't know what's going on with vaccinations. I don't know what's going on with antivirals. I don't know what's going on, but I don't know what's going on with testing in Guyana, right? But there's a ton of money for tests, for masks, vaccines, everything. The opposition has to plug into that. And the reason why is because the talk here about COVID it's going to be around forever and ever and ever. It's like the flu. It's seasonal. It's going to be around like every 6 months. It's going to have variations. It's going to have mutations. You want to have the money to deal with any spikes that could happen in COVID in your country, right? You want to have the PPE. You want to have the resources available. This is how you get them, okay? When you speak to our people that I'm telling you, they've got it for you. Your opposition has to ask for it, and you'll get it, right? And like one of the listeners said before, well, who's watching where the money goes? Well, I'm telling you, the opposition has to talk about that, about how to make sure that the resources are going to get to the people, right? That has to be part of the discussion as well. You're muted, Mark. I'm sorry.
Sorry about that. One of the main thing also is that the installed regime has stocked a group of people who are pro-PPP to handle the fuel money out there, hundreds of millions of dollars. I think those are things that can be discussed with the.
Well, you know what, though? I don't know if that should be discussed with her right now. Yeah. I don't know if she's the one for that, right? Let me tell you why. Because I know a big part of her mission is climate change. So how is she doing climate change, but then she's going to be discussing oil? I mean, man.
Well, that is true too. But and I thought of that as well. But the lack of accountability, the lack of transparency, the lack of democracy, and so forth. I'm sure those are things that will be discussed with civil society and even activists.
Not with her, but not with her. Not with her. That's not her role for that. I don't believe. From what I've looked at, I don't think that's her role. There are other people that need to be spoken to about that, right?
Fair enough.
Yeah. Well, maybe speaking to her about who should be spoken to about that is a good idea.
Right? Well, yeah, probably that's it. But gosh, so when she leaves Guyana, when Ms. Feinstein leaves Guyana, should Guyanese be prepared for a better form of governance coming from these folks who have been installed? Because it looks as though the U.S. is laying the groundwork to Jack Deal and to Irfan to say, look, you guys need to get your act together, or else. What should Guyanese expect after this visit?
Good question. What I think what they should expect is this: is that I think on the American side, things will happen fast. So any kind of funding, any kind of things that need to happen on that end, I think it's going to happen fast on our end to get down to Guyana, because I think the resources. This isn't just popping up out of the blue, right? They've been putting together pieces to do this type of thing for a while. So I think the first thing you should expect is that the resources should come quickly from our side, pretty fast. Number one. Number two, I think with what's going on globally, I do think that Jack Deo and Irfan Ali, I think they're in a position now where it's possible they can be satisfied with their roles and what they're doing without having to what's the best way to put it? Without having to basically tear down everything to make them happy. I think they may be able, for once, to like be all right for once, at least for now. And the reason why I say that is because it's hot in the kitchen, man. It's hot in the kitchen. And these guys have good instincts, okay? They know when to move and not when not to move. This isn't a good time to be doing shady things. Okay, it's just not. So I don't expect them to be shady right now. I really don't, because I think they're smart enough not to be shady right now. With that said, they have to be watched, because as soon as they feel like they can take an inch, they're going to take 10 miles. Right?
Absolutely.
So I think right now, for right now, I really do think these guys are going to try to do the right thing, just because they have to do that for their own survival right now, politically and everything else, because that's the world we're in now. And this is just not the time to be shady. But you're going to have to watch them.
You know, Tom, let me say this to you. Miss Feinstein, Barbara Feinstein, is going to be in Guyana from tomorrow until the 26th, which is Friday. This is not a visit where she just got up yesterday morning to say that she wants to be in Guyana to talk with the politicians, whether they in the installed regime or the opposition, members of civil society, activists, I presume, and so forth. This would have been planned over a month ago. And Air Finale would have obviously known that she was coming to Guyana, right? Then Air Finale pops up and heads his way to Dubai. And the reason I'm asking this question, because Ms. Botchway is saying here, I don't get how America would pour more funding to Guyana when Guyana is now, oh, the Dubai of the region. I'm not sure that Guyana is the Dubai, but
Well,
here's a
well,
question. Here's a question. Air Finale jumps and go to Dubai
yeah,
or somewhere thereabout,
yeah,
while this lady has scheduled a visit to Guyana. He
yeah,
runs away from Guyana.
yeah.
Deliberate?
Well, remember I told you a few weeks ago. I told your audience this a few weeks ago, right? That we are talking to everyone in this region. Remember, we cut the deal with the Colombians, right? We're talking to this guy next door in Venezuela, right? So we're talking to everybody, everyone, okay? Shop is open. We're cutting deals. With that said, China and Russia are also cutting deals. Shop is open for them. The problem is they can't open shop and do things in Guyana right now. Okay, think about it right now. How could Russia send a diplomat to Guyana? If they did that right now, it would be international news, right? So how are they going to get deals done, right, with the countries they need to get deals done with, unless they're meeting in a place like they have to meet in a place like Dubai, right? And so Irfan Ali is going to come back to Guyana with some kind of deals from the Russians and the Chinese. Okay?
Well, look, someone preempted exactly what you're about to say. Ms. Simons is saying, but are they not being shady by going to Dubai to possibly cut deals with Russia and China?
Yeah, no, but this isn't about being shady. What it's about is Guyana has their own interests, okay? And that's just the bottom line. And look, India is super connected to Russia militarily, economically, with oil. And guess what's happening? They're buying boatloads of oil from Russia right now. Okay? They're doing all kinds of stuff with Russia, but they're supposed to be our ally. I'm sorry, but that's the world we live in now, where everyone is on every side, basically. That's where we're at. Okay? So with that said, he's going to come back with some deals. The people of Guyana need to decide, right? Well, which deals are the better deals? Which governments that we're partnering with, which ones are the ones who are doing things that benefit the people of Guyana and not just a handful of people at the top, right? And so whatever's going to happen out of these deals he's cutting in Dubai, it's probably going to be pretty good, because guess what? They're going to be able to say, hey, we're meeting with the U.S. guys and they're going to offer blah, 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 right? So look, this is all beneficial to the people of Guyana. It really is. If the people of Guyana can hold your elected officials accountable and ensure that you get most, if not all, of the funds that should be coming your way in exchange for the natural resources of Guyana, right? Like this is what's going on.
Not with these guys in there, not with because
But
remember,
Mark, I know what you're saying, but you
yeah,
shouldn't say that, man. You know why you shouldn't say that?
sure. Let me hear.
Because even bad people, for their own survival, will do the right thing. And what I say by that, I mean political survival. For their own political good, will do the right thing. But what has to happen is the people who they are governing have to know the truth. That's why we're doing this show, right? So that people know the truth, so that they can actually demand things in reality should be done. So I wouldn't be so quick, Mark. I think the show, I think the discussions people will have a huge impact on these guys. I truly do. It's not the end all be all, but it's a beginning, right? And this is where you have to start. So I wouldn't be so quick to put this down. I really wouldn't be.
No, I'm not putting it down. Knowing the players, trust me, Tom. We'll take a drink for that. And while we look at the time, 57 minutes after 9 o'clock. Mm-hmm. So, Tom,
yeah,
what can be done about this big deal? 4.7 acres of land to that oligarch, right? That Russian oligarch. 4.7 million, acres, 4.7 acres, 150 million Guyana dollars. Here's a guy who's been sanctioned by the US. I just want your take on that before we go.
Okay, so I'm going to tell you the difference between undeveloped world corruption and developed world corruption. Okay? And I'm going to tell you what there is a way for people to be. I'm not going to call it corruption, because you can legally do things in a way to look out for your constituents and yourself, and it's not illegal. So it's not corruption, I guess. But essentially it is. And this is what I mean by that with this land. So if you have someone purchasing land in Guyana, and there's someone who is under U.S. sanctions or sanctions by the EU, and there's some pressure coming into your government to have those properties seized in order to pay for potential war crimes and damage in Ukraine, et cetera, right? And your government doesn't want to get involved in that because politically that could look really bad for people. It just wouldn't look good. Well, there's a way to do it without it being a problem for anybody. And I'll give you an example. They should speak to the oligarch or whoever it is that owns the land and say, look, why don't you voluntarily donate the land to the people of Guyana? We'll make a press release of it, right? When everything blows over, don't worry, you'll be able to get the land back. That's what you do in the developed world, right? Is you do something like that and everybody's happy and it all goes away. This guy still gets to keep his land. It just went away for a little while, okay? And he looked good because he donated it, right? That's how you do developed world, looking out for your buddies, looking out for your constituents. That's a way of doing it without looking like you're corrupt and looking like you're just trash, right? The other way to do it is just to say to the world, we don't care. Any oligarch can come here, buy land, and we're not going to seize anything. Screw you guys. You can do it that way, but that's very lowbrow, right? And that's the problem with Guyana, man. They're doing lowbrow things, right? Do the highbrow thing. Be smart about it. And I'm not trying to teach these guys how to be corrupt. I'm not. But what I'm trying to say is there is a way to raise your level of political machinery. Okay, there's a way to look out for your constituents without being such a barbarian, without making it look so horrible, right? There's a smart way to do things. So they could do it that way. But what I would say is more than likely the best thing to do is seize the land. Okay, just take it back, seize it, make an announcement that, look, man, we're not going to be a country. where people can hide assets when the EU or the United States freezes them. Same thing goes with Russia or China. If they want to put someone on sanctions and those people try to buy property in Guyana, we're going to seize that too. It should be a country that has that kind of standard. With that said, I don't know if you guys can reach that level yet. You might only be able to reach the level of, hey, man, just like donate it and we'll get it back to you later level. But it takes steps, okay? I don't know. But anything would be better than leaving it out there and just thumbing your nose to the world and saying anyone can buy it. That's not a good idea.
All right, we're seeing that. This is the decade ago. There's 2008. 4.7 acres of land out there in Liliendahl sold to Rusal. Rusal, the owner of Rusal, the president of that company, Oleg Deripaska. He is blacklisted by the U.S., but yet he is doing business in Guyana. The Ms. Barbara Feinstein heads to Guyana tomorrow, and Irfan Ali is out of the country, obviously deliberate, so that she can sit and meet with Bara Jagdeo. That is what he wants. That is how he is settled for this thing to happen, so that folks could deal with him directly. I don't know, Tom, closing remarks before we go.
Yeah, well, I hope this goes well for the people of Guyana. It's a great opportunity for the people of Guyana to get much needed funds for security, for their marketplace, for maritime security, for flood issues. It's just a great opportunity. So take advantage of it. The opposition needs to be a voice of the people. They need to speak for the people. They need to give this woman and her staff as much information as possible to ensure that American resources get to where they're supposed to go, and they're not stolen. With that said, I wish the PPP luck on all of this, because I told you this earlier, Mark. This is a crazy world we're in, okay? And these are high stakes, and you've got countries who are desperate right now. Russia is not in a good spot in this war with Ukraine. China is like, they're trying to support Russia, but they don't want to be viewed as being a part of the war. We don't want to get involved. I mean, it's just there are millions and millions of refugees. This is a really, really wild time if you're a leader in this world. And so this is not a time to play games. This is serious. That's why I say I wish them luck in the PPP, because they're kind of like the dog that caught the car. They kept chasing the car every day. They finally got it, and now they don't know what to do. And that's what's happening, right? Like, there's all these resources and all this money and all this power, and it's in a world that's at war, and it's dangerous and it's scary. And so I wonder if these guys are thinking to themselves sometimes, man, I did not sign up for this. This is not what the world was 10 years ago. This is scary business. So with that said, I'm praying for the people of Guyana. I hope that your leaders in the opposition party and in the ruling party, I hope that they can, just do the right thing for the people of Guyana, speak to our officials, try to get these funds to try to get some security in your markets and everything. And yeah, man, I wish you all luck. I think things will go well, though, because I just think with the way things are going in the world, the pressure's on for politicians to have to produce for their people. And so hopefully it's enough pressure to get these guys to do enough of the right thing to make a difference for the people of Guyana.
All right, I noticed I'm reading some of the comments here, and I hope so too, Mr. Williams. Jan Williams is saying, hey, Mark, I hope the coalition have their ducks line up for the meeting with this representative. I do hope so too, This is not just a photo op. They take a picture and say that's it. They got to go there prepared. Maybe with, what is it? You call it a slide? Showing all of the pink slips. The thousands of people, mainly coalition supporters, didn't get the cash grant that the installed regime handed out, and thousands of people are still awaiting that cash grant. Tom, I don't know, man. If money is placed in the PPP's hands, in Jack Gale and Irfan Ali and these guys, and some of the members of so-called members of the private sector commission, oh gosh, God help that country, man.
Yeah, I
Uh,
know you're right. You guys are right, but I'm going to say this. I'm going to say again. I
sure.
think I think the opportunity is there for things to change for Guyana, right? And it's little steps, little steps. You can't do it all in one big step. It's impossible. It takes little steps, right?
Yeah,
And it takes, I will say this, Mark, it's really going to take everyone to, as a population in Guyana, to change their mindset about how they view government and how they view their leaders, and go from the mindset of, I'm a PPP supporter versus I'm a PNC supporter. Get rid of that mindset and get more of the mindset of, okay, what do we have to do as local population to hold all of our elected officials accountable, no matter what position they're in government? What do we have to do to communicate to them, to let them know, hey, we're suffering here, and you need to know every single day you go into that office or where you go in to clock in for work exactly how we're suffering, and you need to be doing something about it. Period. End of story, right? And so that's what needs to start happening, regardless of who's in power and who's supporting whom.
Absolutely, Tom. I agree with you, man. But in the case of Guyana, oh gosh, these guys, 19 fraud charges. Tom, I know how you feel. We'll talk about this privately as well. But look at this comment from Mr. Bromell. Sorry, a female. Sorry, LOL. Miss Bromell is saying that they're cleaning up the market. They're cleaning up all over now. The streets are going to be clean for Miss Feinstein, man.
Yeah, well, that's why the opposition has to come with the real photographs.
Holy smoke!
Right?
What?
That's what I'm telling you. Like, they have to be ready to show that her and her staff the real situation of Guyana, man. They have to.
You
They
know,
have to. This is imperative.
there is a song, something that goes, check out the real situation. I'm sure that she's aware of the real
Well,
situation
she is, Mark, but you know what? She needs to hear it
to be reminded and to
over
hear that
and
from
over
you.
and over again.
We
Okay?
want
Every
strong.
day she's there.
So I hope Aubrey Norton, the leader of the PNCR, would walk along, sorry, with competent people. Competent being the operative word. Be prepared with documents. Just don't walk in a long hand and take a quick selfie and these things. Go prepared, man.
Yeah,
Tom, if
look, she's got great staff, okay? So don't think that it's not like Guyana where you give someone and their staff some documents and they just throw it in the shredder, or I don't even use a shredder anymore. You just throw it away somewhere, okay?
not all Guyanese are like that. Maybe
Well, the
folks,
government, I mean, the government of Guyana.
the
Like,
government, yeah, those.
I'm sure use the government of Guyana being non-responsive, okay?
Yeah, they are, especially if they can't get anything from the cookie jar, especially if there's nothing to
Well, that's fine.
bribe
Well,
them.
our
grease their
government
head.
is responsive. Our government is responsive. Okay. So when you give her staff documents, photographs, all that, they're going to use them. I promise you they will. Okay. Bring everything you got. Say everything. Talk. They need the information.
You
You
know,
got to give it to them.
Tom, you're giving them free advice and pro bono, free advice.
Yeah.
Thank you so much as always, Tom, for your time. I know the confirmation hearing is there, the Senate confirmation hearing for the next Supreme Court justice. Your take on the confirmation hearing?
We were talking about that earlier. Yeah, I told you. I think they're doing a fair job. Look, so this is what I mean about raising your level of political awareness, right? So you can look at some of the things that Ted Cruz has said to this nominee for the Supreme Court. You can look at all these things and you can say it's not fair, it's not right. They treated other people better, whatever. You can say that. The reality is this, okay? Ted Cruz is a part of the opposition. Ted Cruz is known. His job as a member of the opposition is to be what we call an attack dog. It's his job to attack anybody and everything that isn't a Republican. Okay? That's just his job. So he's doing the best he can. There's a couple other guys doing their thing, but at the end of the day, these gentlemen are being very respectful. They are. This is a professional hearing, and she's able, if you notice, they allow her to speak and say what she wants to say thoroughly, right? Now, if they were cutting her off, if they weren't allowing her to answer, if they were rude, like they have not, man, they have been respectful to her. So at the end of the day, I feel like she's gotten a very fair hearing. She is going to be confirmed, and she's going to get Republican votes, okay? In a time where no one in D.C. can agree on anything, she is going to get a bunch of people from both parties agreeing on her confirmation. That's a good thing. And I don't think anybody should be upset about this process. I'm proud of the process, to be honest.
You are very proud, and you believe that at the end she will be confirmed.
Yes, yes, absolutely. I'm proud of the process, and I have a lot of respect for the Republican Party. I do, because I'm telling you, like they really hate Democrats. I don't think anyone really understands how much they hate Democrats. Okay. And so anyone who the Democrats nominate is going to come under withering attack right now. Okay. The fact that these guys have been as professional as they've been, I give them credit. I hope they continue to keep doing the job they're doing. And I can't wait to see her on the Supreme Court on the bench, man. It's going to be a great day to see that.
All right. Absolutely. I was going to say one other question, but I really have to go. I know you have another engagement, and we will speak tomorrow. But thank you so much as always, Tom. God bless you.
All right, everybody. Take care. Have a good night.
Yep. Tom Anderson there. He will be back next Wednesday. Yeah. He will be back next Wednesday. And for now, thank you all for tuning in. I will be back. Like I've said, I will be back tomorrow. Same place, same time, same place, right here on 107.1 FM. Let me just say that, sorry about that. Let me just say that tomorrow morning, we are not going to be on. That is because we are not going to be on. Sorry about that. We are not going to be on because of still some technical problems in the studio, so to speak. And so we're going to fix the problem, and then we will be back tomorrow, same place, same time. So
this is attorney Shellen Washington, owner and founder of the Washington law firm located at 455 Utica Avenue in Brooklyn, New York. We're specialized in medical malpractice, personal injuries, matrimonial law, and landlord and tenant. If you're in need of legal representation, please give us a call today. The number to call is 718-877-3100. Consultation is free at no cost to you. So call us today to see if we can be of any assistance to your legal needs. Again, the phone number to call us is 718-877-3100.